Good morning, everyone. So welcome back.
Good morning.
Morning. So let me start today's session. Okay. Right. So yesterday I started the job scheduling, and later I felt that I shouldn't have started in that way. I should have given the background about the Fusion job scheduling, basically the enterprise scheduler. And let's talk about the fundamentals of that, and which will cover many of our questions. And then we can see what we can do with the instance what we have, and what we can do if we have a pass model instance. Okay, so let's start today's session. To schedule a job in the Fusion application, any job in the Fusion application, we use Enterprise Scheduler. So before that, Enterprise Scheduler nothing but a job scheduler. So the job scheduling is a key activity that allows IT to prioritize any urgent business needs, right, by defining a process and submitting as a job. Okay, that process can be a PL SQL job, or a Java job, or a shell script, or a C program, or a SQL loader program, any kind of program we can submit at the back end uh, using the job scheduler, right? That's what we use in even in our legacy systems like EBS, PeopleSoft, like any other systems. Okay, and this enterprise scheduler, job scheduler, basically helps IT to increase their productivity and reduce the cost through automation, resource management, and increase visibility. So it is a job scheduler in any organization which is necessary to be used to schedule jobs or to submit jobs as and when it's necessary, these kind of things. And Fusion is also same thing. For Fusion, to do the job scheduling, we use something called Enterprise Scheduler Service. So Enterprise Scheduler Service, basically, it is a job scheduling tool which is used in the Fusion application, and which is a sophisticated scheduling and job metadata modeling. When it's a job metadata modeling, we can create a job definition, and we can define what kind of job we are about to uh, we are planning to have in our system, to submit it or to schedule it, to run it from the backend. And this enterprise scheduling service also supports multi-technology support, like of job implementation like PL SQL, Java, spanned jobs. Spanned jobs means shell scripts, uh, C programs, or SQL Plus, SQL loader programs. Those can be called as spanned programs. And BIP is a BA publisher reports. Even we can submit BA publisher reports as a concurrent program using Enterprise Scheduler. And the advantage of this Enterprise Scheduler is actually a similar to what we have in our legacy systems. Even Enterprise Scheduler will be hosted on a different uh, node. Okay, so Enterprise Scheduler node, actually, where that node in that server typically maintains all this job queuing and job submission and job scheduling, all those stuff. Okay, and this enterprise scheduler service has a seamless integration with Fusion application user interface, right? So we can, yesterday we have seen submitting a job in enterprise scheduler, we access the enterprise scheduler service, right? So when we went to the Fusion application, so we know a way to submit a job. We went to the tools. From the tools, we have scheduled processes. It is SRS window, basically scheduled processes where we can submit the jobs, right? So this, when we are submitting a job here, internally what is happening, it is actually calling a job that is available in the enterprise scheduler node, and that job is getting triggered. Okay, it is a Fusion application user interface, a front end, which is able to talk to the enterprise scheduler service, and enterprise scheduler service running the job and returning the output as and when it is necessary. It is running the job, and the results are getting here, right? So it has a seamless integration with the Fusion application user interface and processes. Okay, And it has the metadata, means job definition, job submission, job request security, and identity propagation. It means when you create a job, apart from maintaining the job details, we can establish the security as well. Establish security means what job should be available for which user, what job should not be available for which user. So that security can also be controlled using the enterprise scheduler service. Okay, and dependency management and conflict resolution across the job. So yesterday someone is asking about the incompatibility. So Oracle ESS is offering the incompatibility services, but I'm going to talk about incompatibility little more details, comparing what we can do in our instance, what really can be done if we have given access to the full Fusion application. Okay, and it has centralized management for monitoring, configuration, and troubleshooting. So one thing. Now, coming to this ESS, the instance what we are using, this is the instance what we are using. And this instance is basically provisioned for the SaaS model. It means software as a service model. Okay, it means whatever, as we have seen in the initial demo, software service model, nothing but where whatever Fusion is offering, we are actually working on those offerings, and we have a minimal customization allowed, and we don't have access to the middleware, much of the middleware components, and even we don't have access to the database to write a PL/SQL program. We have some limitations with the instance what we are using. Okay, if we use the PaaS model, platform as a service model, we will have access to the database and we will have access to the middleware components. Okay, if we have access to the middleware components, if we have access to the database where we can write our own PL/SQL programs in the database, or in the middleware where we can write a Java programs, and again we can deploy the Java programs into our middleware application server. We can do that. Okay, so considering that PaaS model in the scenario, I'm going to talk about what is the different perspective of ESS if we have the full stack implementation, full stack installations happens, right? So if you have full access to everything, typically I have divided here with respect to ESS, scheduling the jobs, creating the jobs, I have divided into the three areas. One as application developer, one as a business user, one as an administrator. As an application developer, what you can do? As an application developer, you can create, you can write a PL/SQL program, you can write a Java program, you can write a shell script, because you will, if you have access to the middleware where you can write in the Unix box, you can write the shell scripts and deploy your shell scripts. So, and also what you can do once you have that, as a developer, we can create the job definitions, we can create the job sets, and we can also define the incompatibilities. It means if this job is running, other job should not run. We can define that incompatibilities as well. Okay, so now as we don't have the middleware access in the SaaS model, we may not able to create a job in the enterprise manager. Enterprise manager is a place where actually all these scheduled jobs will be configured. So we cannot access enterprise manager in the SaaS model, whatever instance we are working on. So we don't have a provision to create a PL/SQL program or Java program in this instance and deploy it as an enterprise, as a scheduled job in the enterprise manager. We cannot do that. Okay, if we have access to, then we can deploy it. Okay, and we know where to write PL/SQL program. And for Java programs, we can go to JDeveloper. I'm going to talk about JDeveloper when I talk about ADF part. So we can create a Java programs in the JDeveloper, and those Java programs can be deployed on the enterprise manager, which is actually where all the enterprise scheduler service jobs will be maintained. Okay, once that is deployed, from front end, we can create the job definitions. I'm going to show how to create job definitions from the front end, how to create job sets. and defining incompatibilities. So defining incompatibilities, again, as I was saying, if we have two jobs, one job is running, other job should not run. Those incompatibilities can be defined. If we are creating a custom jobs, our own jobs, we can define the incompatibilities using JDeveloper. JDeveloper, in sense, we have to extend one Java class. Basically, I'm going to show that Java class, which class we have to extend, and I will talk about this in a while. Typically, this is what application developer will do. What a business user will do, business user will just access that ESS SRS user interface, the one the scheduled processes window, what are we talking about, and user can submit that job and monitor the job using this enterprise scheduler service monitor user interface. Nothing but this is the one where we can submit the job and where we can monitor the job. That is the primary interface. Okay, and a business user can submit the job and monitor the owned jobs. That's the thing. Okay, so here primary interface application developer is JDeveloper and enterprise manager, and for business user is ESS SRS user interface and ESS monitor user interface, and the business user will do submission of job and monitoring the jobs, and administrator typically access enterprise manager and application policy manager or security console from release 12 onwards. What they can do, the administrator can define the schedules, configure the security, monitor the status of all the jobs, and if troubleshoot any jobs got stuck, and resume the jobs and stop the jobs if necessary. All these activities will be done by the administrator. Okay, so and typically if we have full stack implementation, full stack installation, then we will have access to enterprise manager. If we have access to enterprise manager, administrator can perform some of these activities like resuming and stopping the jobs and troubleshooting the jobs. These two can be done if we have access to enterprise manager. Typically in the SaaS model, we don't have access to enterprise manager. If anything happens, anything got stuck or anything we have to do, anything we have to stop the jobs on ad hoc basis, those cases typically we need to contact Oracle to do these things on behalf of us, because there is a SaaS model and Oracle maintains the enterprise manager on behalf of us. If we are in the PaaS model, we will have access to enterprise manager and we could able to do the troubleshooting and we could able to stop the jobs on ad hoc basis. So we can do that. But from front end, we can actually define the schedules, configure the security, monitor the jobs, cancel the jobs, and we can do many other things. We are going to see that in a while. Okay. And last thing, what administrator can do, they can actually manage the enterprise scheduler service infrastructure. Basically, as I said, ESS will have a separate node installed in the middleware, and that is actually deployed on the WebLogic, where we will maintain the ESS nodes, and that maintenance of that nodes will be taken care by the administrators as well if we have the full stack installations, right? So that's a different perspective how the ESS work in real Fusion scenario. Okay, so I'm going further just to quickly see how the diagrammatic representation of the components will be. So here I am talking about ESS client.
Lakshmi, can you go back to the previous screen once? Yeah, these are three different roles. Can we call it as?
Three different, three different kind of users who actually interact with the ESS. You can think of like that.
Okay.
And yes.
Three different users with set of roles.
We can say, yeah, we can think of like that. Yeah, application developer. Yes, this user will have access to see what I meant to say here is, in reality, we don't have any security roles like that. Application developer will have application developer role. Business user will have business user role, not like that. So my intention behind that, if we have the ESS fully installed in our company and which will have complete access to ESS, typically three kind of people interact with the scheduled jobs, and these are the three different kind of people. You can think of like that. Okay. Yeah.
So only administrator can schedule a job here then.
I mean, yeah. I mean, in some companies, maybe developers can also schedule the jobs. They can do that. So, and they can even developers, I mean, business user can monitor the jobs, monitor their own jobs, but administrator can monitor all the jobs. So,
scheduling only can be done by administrator or business user or application developer also can.
Sometimes we can give access to the business user to schedule the jobs. We can do that. If anyone has access to the screen, they can schedule a job here. So, but when they schedule the job, they can schedule only the jobs which this person has access to. But in case of administrator, administrator can schedule any jobs across the company, full level of access. They can schedule DBA kind of jobs as well. So yeah, it's a user perspective. I mean, how people see the system, how they use the system. Okay, it's not typically Oracle has given in security roles like that. What are the different perspective of looking at the ESS? That's what I mean for. Okay. Right. So it is a quick diagram. Typically, how the ESS components will be scattered across. So these are three things. One thing, actually, ESS clients. ESS client means how we access the enterprise scheduler service. And ESS component is a real ESS components which are available in the enterprise manager. It's a middleware component. And what are the components the ESS will be used? These components will be in this layer. Okay. So number one, ESS client, how we can access the enterprise scheduler service. Number one, using Fusion application user interface, that is this interface. Number two, we can use a web service client. Typically, we can call, we have something called ESS web service, which is actually exposed from the Fusion application. We can call the ESS web service from outside Fusion application. We can call that. You can write any client which can consume the web service available in the ESS, which actually we can call the ESS web service with the proper parameters, then the respective job can be submitted from outside of the Fusion application. So we can access the ESS through web services as well. Typically, if we have a full stack installation, we write the web services in the SOA and ADF business components. We do that. But if you don't have full installation, typically you can call from the outside world. I can write a web service in my computer and call the Fusion web service and get the program executed here, given the proper parameters. And if you have the database access from PL SQL as well, from PL SQL program as well, you can submit a concurrent job. You can submit a scheduled job using the PL SQL client. You can do that as well. Okay. If you use Fusion application user interface, typically you are going to use enterprise Java Beans. It's a Java components basically, which will be used to consume and submit the jobs in the ESS. Okay. Typically, same thing, web services client can be used, web service component available in the ESS, PL SQL client can interact with the PL SQL. So whenever these interactions happens, typically whatever job we defined, that job will be stored as a metadata file in the MDS repository in XML format. So whenever a job is being called, an XML metadata definition will be pulled out, and based on the definition, the respective program will be called. If it is Java program, it will call Java program, PL SQL program, or a span program, the respective span program, that is shell script or C or SQL loader, whatever. Okay. While calling this program, they will consume the respective resources. In PL SQL, they have to go to DB to execute the respective procedure or a function. If it is a Java, then based on what kind of Java component it is. If it is a BA publisher report, it will go to BA publisher engine. If it is a another EasyB component, enterprise Java Bean component, it will go to the ADF business component service. If it is some other task flow kind of process, then it will go with the SOA BPL process and consume the respective resources and execute the respective programs. And whatever data we get it will send as output to the universal content manager. That is nothing but this one. When you click on any program, typically you will have a files you'll be seeing your files at the bottom as output file or log file. This file, it is nothing but we are actually referring the Universal Content Manager to pull out the file. It looks like we got timed out. So typically that file is nothing but Universal Content Manager, which will be residing on the UCM. That is nothing but a job output. It is actually a quick snapshot of what are all the components being involved. But when we do in the SaaS model, most of those things we won't really bother. But if we go with the PaaS model, then basically you will be looking these components, maybe not completely, but if you have this idea, then you can easily relate what actually being called at what point of time. Okay. Now, when I define the job, coming to the ESS terminology, right? There are few terminologies that we need to learn with respect to ESS, something like job type. Basically, I was saying we can define a job we can define an ESS job. While defining an ESS job in the Fusion, every ESS job will have a job type associated too. Okay, let me open existing ESS job. In that, to open an ESS job, typically we need to go to setup and maintenance. And here, go to search. It is the only way you need to access that. And manage custom enterprise. So what happens here is, based on the licensing what we have, all the enterprise jobs, enterprise scheduler jobs are segregated based on the licensing what we have. We have a CRM licensing, so all the CRM jobs will be segregated into the managed custom enterprise scheduler jobs for customer relationship management and related applications. Similarly for financial and supply chain management, and similarly for human capital management. So all the jobs will be segregated accordingly. Is nothing but internally everyone is a jar file. Everyone is jar file, which will have those defined jobs. Those defined jobs can be a Java job or PL SQL, whatever job it is. Everything will be stacked into each jar file. And some of the jobs are there which are available across all these modules, and we can access them as well from any of these modules. Okay. If you go to the financial supply chain management and related applications, if you go there, by default, we can see the list of jobs already defined in this financial and supply management and related applications. These are all the list of jobs already defined by Oracle. Okay, so if you open up any existing job, so here we are registering a job here. So whatever program you have defined, in this case, my job is aggregate action capture data. And this job is of job type Java. And Java class is this one. So have registered a job here. This job is being registered here. And we can use this job with this job name. We can submit the job in our ESS user interface from our tools and schedule processes, right? So here, as I'm saying job type, how many job types are available in the Fusion applications? Okay, that's what I'm going to talk here. The basic definition of what the job would be comprised of and defines the following: it's Java, PL SQL, BA publisher, spawn type, that is SQL loader, host, Perl, host means shell script, Perl, SQL please, and C. These are the list of job types available. So if you have full access to the Fusion instance, then you can create any of these jobs. And all these job types are normally predefined by Oracle. So whatever job you want to find, it should be any of these 7 or 8. Okay. And then once we have this job type, then we can create a job. You can create a job, that job definition. In the job definition, we have to give the display name and job name. The name can be anything, and path where actually you wanted to, where this job is available. Typically for all our custom jobs, we can give any name. I want to demonstrate one job, but I want to going to create one job definition, and I want to show you how it does it work. And it will have application name, which application this job is registered with, and based on the job type you choose, the parameters will change. Okay, and the parameters will change, and we have something called allow multiple pending submissions. It means if we have already submitted this job, do you want to allow another same kind of job to submit again? Then if you say true, then you can run the same kind of jobs parallelly. If it is false, then you cannot submit again. Okay, so let me go ahead and create one job definition. Before creating a job definition, we have to make sure in the SaaS model, we can create definitions over seeded jobs only or custom BA publisher reports. What does it mean? What does it mean? As this instance is in the SaaS model, as I cannot write any PL SQL code or Java code or any host scripts, as we cannot do because we don't have access to the database and we don't have access to the middleware server, we cannot create our own program units. When we cannot create our own program units, and how can we create a custom jobs? Okay, so we still can create a custom jobs only by using whatever program units already defined by the Oracle. There are many program units already defined by the Oracle. You can use those program units and create your own job definition. Example, yesterday we have seen a program called send LDAP program. I'm just trying to query it here.
Lakshmi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where we can find a source code of these jobs? I think.
In the SaaS model, we cannot get the source code of it. We don't have access to the either database or the middleware server to get the source code.
Okay.
If you have access to the database, then of course you can go and look for that. And if you have access to the middleware, then you can go to that server and get the file. But typically in this SaaS model, we can, in this whatever instance we have, in this SaaS model, we don't have that level of access. Actually, I was trying to work with Ravi on getting the access to the server of this instance. But I don't think it might work out. But if we can get that, we could able to go a little more. Whatever I have shown in the PPTs, we can go more into it. We can create our own PL SQL program unit or Java class and deploy it here. So for now, what I am trying to do, I'm going to take any seeded program unit. I'll take some program name. With that program unit, I will create my own Java job definition, and I will submit it through SRS window. Okay, I think I'm in financial, that's why I'm not finding this job. Let me go to human resources.
Lakshmi.
Yeah.
See, how do I find the set of jobs in the specific offering? For example, financials. What are the how do I find it? Because
you want okay. You want all the jobs?
Specific to the modules. Like for example, we call it offering.
Okay.
How do I find, for example, in the concurrent request, we'll see that in the financial, Oracle Financials, we can see
Correct.
that set of reports, set of concurrent programs.
Correct.
How do we see it here?
So example, I am in human capital management now. See that? I'm in human capital management now. And if I search for all the jobs in the human capital management in this window, if I just click on enter, I can see all the jobs, what is available in this human capital management. So let me see.
It means only the programs he has a permission for, or the user.
Basically, if you have application implementation consultant role, it means you will have access to all the jobs.
Okay.
Yeah. So typically, this user has application implementation consultant role, every job can be accessed. So
You can also restrict the jobs to the specific users.
yes, we can do that. I'm going to show that as well in our today's session. So when I went to financial supply chain management, by default we are able to see the list of jobs in that module. So those are the list of jobs which will show up for any finance and supply chain management user in their SRS window. These are the list of jobs, total list of jobs. And if you want, you can export to Excel and keep it with you. Okay, I'm trying to, till now we have seen only the send LDAP request and retrieve pending job, right? So I will take the source code of that, source name of that, and with that name I'm going to create my own job definition. That's my intention. So let me get the program unit details of that. So we have the send pending LDAP request. What I will do, I will just copy the class, what class this program is being called. I will just copy this, and I know it is Java job type because, and this path I can give my own custom path because I'm going to create a custom job definition. Application is human resources, and job application name is it's, as I said, HCM. It's an ER file, jar file. I'm going to have this, okay, and it has 3 parameters. So type, attribute 1, and batch size, because this program will take these parameters. So, and usually it has list of values, but what our program I will create my value as these default values. So whenever someone submits my job with this parameter, the job will get submitted. Okay, so I just copied everything. So let's cancel it. As we have the program unit, I will create my own job definition with this program unit. Why I can't have my own program unit? Because with this instance, we don't have access to DB or middleware. That's why I can't have my own program unit. Okay, but I can have my own BA publisher report. I will demonstrate that one as well. Okay, I'm going here, creating a job definition. I'm adding here. So here I'm going to give the display name as Rainbow Custom Send LDAP job. Okay, and this name, actually this name should not have any spaces between that, because basically it will be stored in the MDS repository, metadata service repository, as XML tag. So it should not have any spaces. So path, I can give any path here. So I'll give a path as a Rainbow. Okay, initially the folder will be created in the Oracle Apps ASS custom. So it's going to be created in this folder. In this custom folder, I'm going to create my own folder as RB Rainbow, because this is where all my custom jobs will go. And application, I want to give it as Global Human Resources. And description, I will just give something like that. Custom job for testing purposes. Okay. If job fails, how many times you want to retry? So I'm not giving anything here. And job application name, this is very important, because this is where this, so whatever this one is there, it should be available. See, apps, HCM, users, ESS, right? So this application name should be EAR, HCM, ESS. Okay.
And passive instance, right?
Sorry?
This is a passive instance, right?
It's a SaaS instance.
It's not a pass?
No. That's the reason I took the existing program actually. This is the existing program. I'm taking this one. On top of it, I'm creating my own job definition.
What is the difference? What is the difference between application and job application name? So here we have given a human resource.
Okay. So this job application name actually, when ESS submits a job, it will look at this application module to pull out this job, whatever job I am going to define.
The file.
So, yes, the file, the class file, whatever file I'm going to give. But this application is actually, it's just information purposes in this job definition. But this one actually plays the major role. You can give it as blank as well. It doesn't cause any problem. Okay. So yeah, job type. So as we know, it is a Java job type.
It's just like an executable application name. Can you correlate like that? Because
so we have defined the executable. Now we are defining a program. You can think of like that.
Okay.
We are defining a program now. It is our executable. Now we are defining a program. Because we don't have a different window for executable and program. Everything in the same place.
No. In the executable application name is nothing but the location of the file in which top we are placing, right? So that's why we can say like that.
Yeah. That.
But the application stands for from where we need to execute. Can we say like that? This is the where the file exists currently. Job application name. The application talks about, or it specifies, from where we can execute the program or maybe job.
So this application doesn't have any meaning. Job application will have everything. What top we have to look at and from what application we have to take this program and execute. Okay, and there's one more thing, enable submission from scheduled process. This one has to be checked. Only then that program will be visible in the SRS window, that ESS user interface. If it is not checked, then that won't be visible there. It is a very important thing to notify. Okay, so show more.
And one more, allow pending submissions. So it means this is only specific to this particular user or entire application.
Okay, this allow multiple pending submission is only specific to this job. If this job is submitted, are you allowing some other user or the same user to submit this job or run in the same time?
So just like incompatibility?
Exactly, self-incompatibility, we can say that.
Incompatibility with for that specific user or entire application?
Entire application. Entire application for this specific job. Okay, so if someone is running this job, and do you want allow other users to run this job at the same time? It means true. If you don't want to allow that, then it means false. So if it is false, if the job is running by someone, if someone else tried to run the same job, then system will throw an error, or the system will keep the job in the blocked status. And once the job which was running by other person got completed, then this second job will start executing.
I think so default must be false.
Default will be false. Yeah. When we say blank, it means false.
So we spoke on yesterday, right? But we cannot.
Yes. So actually, I'm coming to that only. So basically, in the SaaS model, we can define self-incompatibility. And in the SaaS model, as Oracle has already defined all the seeded jobs, Oracle has defined the incompatibility already between all those jobs. Oracle is taken care of it. In future, if you create any custom jobs, then you have to create your incompatibility modes. But we don't have provision to create our own program units. And as we don't have provision to create our own program units, in the SaaS model, you cannot create incompatibilities between the different programs. But you can define incompatibilities for the self program. If you need to define compatibility between different programs, for that, we have to extend a method called Oracle AS scheduler.incompatibility method. by extending this method, you can define what job is incompatible to what job. That's a different mechanism which we have to do if we have your own different custom program units. Okay, so we cannot demonstrate that in this instance because we are in the SaaS model. Okay, okay, but we can define self incompatibility, and I'm keeping it as a blank. Okay, so we have several parameters which we can make use of it here. And when you want to time out, and what are the file groups, basically in what format the file could be generated if we have the output. Apart from the text format, we can define multiple file groups as well. So maybe it doesn't have much meaning in the SaaS model. If we go for PaaS model, we can have that level of controllability. Okay, so, and again, here we have something called parameters. So we have to define the parameters. Whatever parameters we have that program, this parameter has to be defined. I'm defining the parameters. And typically the program takes a list of values for user type. It takes a list of values like all, AF, and A, something like that. So whatever program I'm going to define, I'm make sure the program will always have all as a parameter. Okay. So I'm taking this parameter user type and data type as a string, and I'm going to make that, as I don't want to have the list of values like this, I just want to default to all. I will just say paste the element as text box, and in the text box I will default it to all. And yeah, if you don't want to display it and want to take this parameter automatically get it submitted, you can say that. Else you can keep it like this and save it, create another. And I'm going to create attribute 1. I don't know, I forgot what is the parameter. I think it is AA. So data type is string. Not sure what parameter it is. So batch size is A, and attribute 1 is all. Okay.
Here we have two more parameters at header level: enable time statistics and database trace. So database trace can be, I think, to enable the trace. So what is the use of that enable time status checkbox?
Okay, you're talking about these two?
Yeah.
So for basically, I see it was meaningful if we go with if we enable the diagnostics at the instance level. So typically what we have some feature called submitting the same jobs in multiple time zones. We have that feature available in the ESS. Basically, if you want to submit this job for the same time, I mean, based on different time zones, you want to submit the same job multiple times. In that case, we have to diagnostic the job based on what time it got submitted. So if we enable that feature, typically that makes sense. Basically, enable time statics. Else doesn't have much meaning. And database trace is all about database level trace. User type is defined already, and next one is batch size.
So there is no option on mandatory parameters like this here?
Yeah, we have required. If required is mandatory.
Okay.
So, and we have defined user type, attribute 1, and next one is batch size.
There is no value set concept, right, Lakshmi?
Yes, we have it.
Okay.
You can create a value set as well. We have a main is list of value sources is there. So here we have to define the list of values first, and then we can attach the list of values to the parameter here.
Oh,
we have
okay.
that.
Okay.
Lakshmi,
Yeah.
We are trying to create a inheriting the standard.
My voice is breaking actually.
Can you edit any of the parameter now? Can you try to edit?
Yep.
Yeah. So can you show us from where we can attach the LOV?
Okay, so the type, right? The type currently it uses a string.
Okay.
Instead of string, if you take in a choice list,
You need to select.
a choice list, a
Okay.
list of values, then you have to attach the list of that value source. What are you create?
Choice list means free text.
Choice list means yes, multiple choices. List of values, nothing but it's a drop down. When you say list of values, you have to give the list of value source here.
It's okay. Choice list.
Okay.
Choice list in the sense drop down, I think.
Oh, choice list is drop down. Yeah,
Yeah.
vice versa, maybe. Yeah.
List of values is LOV, like choice is a drop down.
Yeah, right. So
Is it clear? Voice was clear?
now it is clear. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. My question is, see, we are trying to inherit from the send LDP program, right?
Yeah.
The core process, what it's supposed to do, that will not change.
That won't change because we are referring the same class name.
So yeah, but what's the purpose here? Like, defining a custom.
Okay, so my whole purpose behind that, if I can create my own program unit, I could keep it. I could keep my own program unit and create the job definition. As this instance doesn't have that capability, I am demonstrating if you have your own program unit, how to register that and how to define security around that and how to execute that. That's my whole purpose. Example, if you have a database access for this instance, you can write your own PL SQL program unit and give the PL SQL program name here.
Okay.
And then create job
I
definition.
get that part. Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah, that's my whole intention.
So in the SaaS model, you cannot create custom jobs. You have to just use the seeded Oracle jobs. As simple as that, right?
That's
yeah,
true.
exactly. Means whatever we are defining here, I think there is no sense we are creating in SaaS. This means it will come into picture in PaaS only, if I'm not wrong.
Alright.
Yeah, I think you can only thing you have is use the seeded Oracle jobs, and you can schedule those jobs. That's the only functionality you have.
Yes, and we have one more functionality.
But Lakshmi, we can register the reports, no, by using this job.
Yes, that's what I am about to say. Yes. So whatever custom reports you create, you can register that here and make that report to run through ESS. We have that ability.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's
Okay. Any custom report can be registered here. Okay. That's what when I say BIP, BI publisher, everywhere I'm saying that BIP, right? When I say BI publisher, any custom report can be registered here. Okay. I will show the demonstration as well if time allows. So let me, okay. Another important property we have to look at is user properties. In the user property,
to the BIP.
Sorry.
Can we pass the parameter to the BIP?
Yeah, of course, yes, we can. We can pass the parameters. I will see if we can demonstrate that. Sorry.
Yeah. You will show an example later.
Yes. If time allows today, I will quickly show that one as well. So we have created this one. This this module, right? This parameter ext underscore portlet container web module. This parameter is very important parameter. This portlet container web module parameter typically enables from which web top you are going to run this program. Basically, web top instance, we have 3 web tops in our instance. One is CRM, FSCM, HCM. From which web top you are going to run this program. So we have to make sure this parameter is given. If it is not available, then when you run the program, it will throw an unexpected error. So by default value will be Oracle HCM user interface because we have chosen the application name as HCM. Okay. So I'm going to save and close this one. RB custom. Okay, I'm going to take this and I'm saving and close. I got the program registered here. Next step for me is to run this program. Okay, so I'm going here and I'm going to run it. So this one should show up in this program list now. It is here. So click OK. Okay. So it has 3 parameters by default because 3 are text boxes, and it see that the original program has a drop down, but we haven't enabled. We just gave the 3 parameters like this, and we are just submitting it. So it got submitted. Typically, it will kick off the original program. Send pending LDAP changes. If that configuration has any issue, it might throw error. So it is running now. So it is this one is, see that this one is spanning the child processes, similar to the original one. It's spanning the multiple child processes here, and is trying to complete. Yes, it is successful. Okay, so it was good, and it has its own output files which came into Universal Content Manager. From the Universal Content Manager, I'm trying to access this files.
And Lakshmi, this is the only one area where we can call the jobs, or we can call through the any form, any page.
Yes,
and any
that's
other
a good question. Actually, yes, we can do. We can call the ESS. This is, let me go back to my screen. So we can call it from the Fusion Application UI SRS window, and we can call it from a PL SQL code as well. We can submit a job, and we can call through app services. There's another thing in the Fusion Application user interface. It means you can create your own custom page. Okay, a custom page using ADF. You can create your own custom page, and in the custom page, you should have the while creating the custom page, you have to extend a ESS class. Actually, we have a predefined enterprise scheduler Java class. If you extend that Java class and create a user interface, you create a brand new page, and that page, if you give the list of we have some predefined fields which are available. Actually, when you create that specific task list, you will get the predefined fields. If you give the predefined fields in that custom page, then that custom page will act as a SRS window what we are submitting now, similar to this. And from that page as well, you can submit any any ESS jobs, and we can embed that page in a task flow. We can embed that page in anywhere in the Fusion application and make it work. So we have that one as well, that option as well, basically. And that's also very simple, not very difficult. It has around 15-20 steps, predefined steps. If you follow the steps using ADF framework in developer, you could be able to create that page and embed anywhere in the Fusion applications. It is possible that as well. So apart from these 3, we have one more using the custom user interface. Okay, so not created. Now my question is, I have created this job. So can anyone access this job? So example, I will log out. And I will log in as, I think. I logged in as a different user, and I will try to, okay, this person don't have access to submit the jobs. Yeah, this person has. So where is the tools then? Okay, so it came out actually. It don't have the scheduled processes. So let me log out. Yesterday we have created a user, something financial RB user. So we have this user. So this user has, we have assigned employee role. Now employee role will have access to schedule process window. So what I'm going to do, I am going to log in as financial analyst.rb. Financial analyst.rb and welcome one. So I'm logging in as this user and I'm going to tools, I'm going to schedule processes. And here I'm going to schedule a new process and I need to submit the job, what I have created. So I'll go here and I will search for job with name RB, custom data, whatever it is. And the job is not available here. So the job is not available here. So why the job is not available here? Because this person, this role don't have access to this job. So how do we give access to a request, access to a job to a user? We cannot directly give to the user. We have to add it to a role. How do we add a job? How do we add a job to a role? How do we do that? Okay, for that is again a security. For any request, giving access to any job has a security behind that. Employee won't go, as these people are admins, they will have access to everything. In reality, every user will have, every employee will have a different kind of a role, and they may not have admin privileges, and they may not have access to all the jobs. We have to give access to that person for that specific job. How do we give that? For that, we have to, whatever role that user has, we have to add this job to that role. How do we add a job to a role? Okay, we haven't seen that. We haven't spoke about that as well in our previous session when we talk about security. So security for the job basically works. Every job what we create, that will become a functional privilege. Any job that we create will become a functional privilege. So basically, if you see okay, so we have created a job here, and that job will become an aggregate privilege, so a functional privilege. So if I go here and look for RB custom, the job is not showing up here basically. So I have created a job. I have created a job in the ESS server, and that job is not. That job will become a functional privilege, but the job is not showing up in the security console. So ESS is different node and security console is a different node. And to get that data into the security console, we have to run a sync process. To sync data between human capital management and Oracle Identity management, we have to run these two jobs. To sync the data between all the nodes, we have to run another job called import user and role application security data. This job has to run every day to sync data between all the nodes. Okay, so I'm going to run this job quickly, and then I'm going to come again and see whether the whatever job I created is coming up on this list. Okay, so let me go and run the job quickly. Don't think I'm deviating from the topic. So I was trying to explain you how the security works behind any custom job that you create. Okay. So import. User and role applicant security data. So I'm going to run this job now. So while it is running, so if you have the pass model access, right? If you have the pass model access, and if you want to register a PL/SQL program, then you have to create a PL/SQL program unit as like this. It should take two. It should any PL/SQL program that should be registered as a concurrent program. Sorry.
हाँ ठीक है Ajay. Ajay.
Oh, I think this is okay. So yeah, if you need to register if you need to create any PL/SQL program to be registered in our ESS job definition, you have to, if you have access, then you have to create a PL/SQL code like this, which will have first two parameters: error buff out no copy varchar2, return code out no copy as varchar2. You have to have these two parameters in any PL/SQL program unit which you want to define as a program unit. You have to define that. And after that, you can have up to 100 parameters. You can give it here after these two things, and we can create your own PL/SQL component. Only then this PL/SQL component can be registered as a ESS job definition. Okay, just want to show you. Let's see how.
Lakshmi.
Yeah.
Could you show this also for to register the PL/SQL program job?
Yeah, to do that, I should have access to the database of this instance, which I don't have actually.
In the past one, MS
Yes,
so means before completion of this course, are you going to show registering any PL/SQL procedure? Or...
Yeah.
Actually, till now we never got access to PaaS model as instance. So I was actually trying hard from Ravi and Oracle, talking to Oracle if we can get access to the PaaS model, PaaS database for this instance. So I doubt if we can get it. That's why I was trying to show as much as I can. If you can get the access, then I will show you how to do that. Okay. Similarly, if you want to create any Java code, that Java code has to be, we have to create the Java code in the JDeveloper. And if you want to register a Java program as a concurrent program, you have to create a Java program which will implement these two interfaces, executable and cancelable. These two interfaces has to be implemented, and in this method there is something called execute. This execute has to be implemented, where actually you will write your typical programming code. So this is a requirement. If you wanted to implement, if you want to have a Java as a program unit, it has to implement executable and cancelable, and that has to be implement the execute method, which will take two parameters: request execution context and request parameters, and here you can write your own code. So it is another requirement to have a Java program as a job program unit. Only then that program will become, and once you create a Java program, typically you need to create a jar file and you can deploy the jar file, and then you can register that class file as a ESS program unit. Okay, so that's another requirement. Okay, it was successful. Now if we go back to tools and security console, there you could able to see now we could able to see that whatever program you have created, right, that program will become a functional privilege. And if you go on RB custom, you see that RB customs and LDAP job here. It is a privilege, actually it's a functional privilege. Okay, it is a functional privilege. Now you can give access to this, you can, for any role, whatever, wherever you wanted to give access for that role, you have to add this functional policy. Okay, so example, let us say we have created our copy financial analyst role, right? Copy, I will give that copy financial analyst Australia primary ledger. I'll give access to this person. I'll go and edit role. Enable function security policies, and here I can add that function security is a functional privilege, right? So I can add here. Yes, that's it. So yeah, it's got added. Now you can go to summary and impact and submit it. It means for any user who has this role assigned, that person can access this role and submit that, access this job, and can submit the job. Done. So let me assign this job role to employee will be, so let me add a copy financial analyst Australia primary ledger. Seven close. Done. And log out. Now go to tools, schedule process, and schedule a job. Now if we say RB custom, it should show. So yep, it is available here. So now this, you can submit the job. You can submit the job here. Okay, so that's how the security works for the job. Okay, so now I will go and demonstrate another thing. So as I said, in the ESS, sorry, I want to submit it. So yeah, so I know we have created a seeded job now. So I will demonstrate one more. I was saying every time that we can create, we can have our own program unit based on the seeded Java, PL SQL, and Spawn type. But for BA Publisher, whatever BA report we create, we can register that BA Publisher as a ESS job. We can do that. Okay. Let's see how it is possible. Okay, so I think we have created a BA publisher job in our second or third class. So let me open that one. So how do you access the reports? I usually access like this. Other way, you can go here and access reports and analytics. You can do either ways.
For all the other job
I
types,
think-
you need PaaS access, right? PaaS model.
I think, see,
Yeah.
next one, it will be better means once we complete development of BA publisher report, then how to register that same as a.
I think
that will be better.
I think we already developed one BA publisher report. So let me show you that, because this person don't have access, this financial analyst. Let me log in as an admin. So in
We
initial
have
class,
right, to discuss about BIP and.
yeah, we initially we have created one BA publisher report for to access users and roles. Let me open that. So let me open catalog. In the catalog, in the custom folder, yes, in the custom folder, see that we have created a report, a data model for user security roles and DM data model, where actually we have written a query to pull users and roles assigned to the users. So this is the query we have written to get the username and the role assigned to the user. This is what we created. And also we created a report on that. We created a report on that user, where actually which will run and generate output like this. It is a username, role, what role is assigned, and what is the person's first name and last name, and the user creation date. We have this BA publisher report already. So let us see how to register. I'm going to catalog, and in the catalog we have two folders, shared folders and my folders. In the shared folders, we have custom folder. In the custom folder, we have created Rainbow Tech Batch 3. In that, we have these two roles, right? So what I'm going to do, whatever report I created here, I'm going to register this report in my Fusion application job definition. I'm going to do that. Okay. To do that, I have to capture some information. I have to know which location this report, not the data model, it is a report, which place this report is placed. Okay. I'm going to more, I'm going to properties. Let me copy this location. Okay. So we don't need to mention shared location. You can take it off. Shared is common. RB batch 3. And what is the name of the report? It is user.security reports. And extension of the report is always XDO. So let's take it. Okay. So this is my report. This is what I wanted to know. Okay. Now how to register our BA publisher report. So how to do that is, so let's go back to
Actually, where we could see that the extension.
By default, it is XDO. Actually, it's a standard thing you have to know. All the data model will have a .dm, and all these reports will have XDO as the extension. Something you have to know. Don't think you have anywhere. Yeah, it is there.
Yeah, it's there. Yeah. Composite signature.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so let's go back. Not security console. Let's go back to setup and maintenance. This time what I will do, I will register this on finance top. So I'm going to setup and maintenance and manage custom enterprise.
So for all BA publisher reports, the extension we can say it is the XDO by default.
Yes, it is XDO. All BA publisher reports XDO. You can think of like that.
Like audio.
Yes. Manage custom enterprise. So I'm going to register this report in finance module. create RB users and roles report, and I should not give and path. I can give again RB because this is our folder, and application, it is your choice. And here where I'm going to do it in financial application. Okay, and job type, see here, this job type by default it's class name. If I choose job type as report, these parameters will change. BIP job type, then the class name will go away and report ID will come. So this class name will be defaulted to BIP job executable, because this is where this is the class which typically starts executing this BIP engine. So in the report ID, typically you have to give this report ID, whatever we copy.
Lakshmi, when we are giving the path, no, the directory should be exist, or we can give the new directory also.
For the SaaS model, we can give any new directory, so it will create it.
Okay, so each time if you are giving a new name, okay, every time it will create new directory.
Yes, create new directory.
So can we give the existing directories also, or like how?
In the custom, actually, yes. I mean, whatever there in the custom, so in the custom subdirectory, whatever that is there, we can give it, or we can create a new one. Anything is fine.
Okay.
So I will give it as.
But anywhere else, we can see the list of directories which are available in custom.
As far I know, I will check it out on that one. As far I know, we can't do, but let me check it out on that and get back to you.
Like if you feel that any new resource will come to the project, if you want to be create any new job in the existing directory, you should be know what directories are available.
Yeah, I took a note of it. Let me check and get back to you tomorrow. But as far I know, we cannot check. I'm giving some different name now. So release tool and BIP job type, and enable the submission for this from scheduled processes. This job, this report doesn't take any parameter. That's why I'm just leaving the parameter as a blank here. And user properties, we should have that portlet, the top portlet, we should direct to FSCM now. So we have external portlet container web module, which should contain FSCM, which is matching to this. It should work. So yeah, we created everything. And
what is the importance of enable submission from enterprise manager checkbox? The second one.
So if we have access to enterprise manager. So as I was saying, enterprise manager is the place where actually all these ESS jobs will be configured. If administrator need to do anything, they will do it from enterprise manager. Typically, we don't have access to this enterprise manager. So what does it mean is, administrator can submit it in the enterprise manager. That's the meaning of it. As anyway, don't have access to the enterprise manager, it doesn't make much sense for us.
So by default, enterprise manager cannot get all the reports and whatever custom reports we are registering.
Yes,
right?
It won't be. By default, it is not available. Everyone has to come to the ESS user interface to submit a job.
Bursting report?
If a report has a bursting logic, then this bursting report has to be enabled.
Can you click on it once?
Basically, when I enable the bursting, when I work on outbound integrations, I'm going to show some bursting report examples. In that case, we'll come again here and I will show you how does it work. It is just informing the ESS engine that it is a bursting report. Once this report got executed, there is a post-processing task to be done. So that's the meaning of it. Okay.
So will it send any email to a specific person, or
if bursting logic has that provision, then it will do. This report, whatever report we created, right? This report has the provision, then it will execute those.
Our report also should have the logic then.
Yes, our report should have that logic. Then only it works, else it won't work.
Even if
I'm going to show the bursting mechanism when I talk about outbound integrations.
Okay.
I will talk in detail about that. BA reports and how to enable the bursting and how we can deliver the reports. And also we'll try to see coming here and working on that report. Okay. Okay. So let me save and close.
Lakshmi, if we have the parameters A and B,
Uh-huh.
depend values based on that, can I run the job?
Yeah.
BA
Yeah.
publishing.
Yeah. You
If a
can.
value is equal to 3, then extract all the content of the user. Example, just an example. We can do that, right?
So based on the conditions, you want to run the report, is it?
Yes, yes. Like what we did in the traditional ERP.
Oh yeah, we can do that. We can absolutely do that.
Can I show in one example in any other next class or something? Anyway.
Yeah. When we talk about outbound integrations, we're going to talk about that BA publisher in detail.
Okay.
Okay. Done. And this job is created. So which is available in the ESS user interface now, because I created in the ESS node. I can directly go to tools, schedule processes, and submit a new process. And here I could search for this enrolls report. I click on OK. As it doesn't take any parameter, so I'm not enabling any output. Actually, if it is that, then it will say where we need to print the output. So I'm not enabling anything, so that's why it's showing as blank. Okay, by default it will show output on the same window. Submit. Okay.
Did you add the function privilege to the role?
So actually, I didn't go to the. I didn't because this HMIMPL is administrator who will have access to every role, every.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's done. So now here, if you see here, it is the output. Typically, you just click on this one. It will open the file. It's a JSP file by default because in the BA publisher report, what we created to show it on the same window, right? We didn't show it. We didn't say to send the output Excel file or something like that. So as it is spinning on the same window, event viewer, JSP, it has all this information of whatever we have created. So this is how we can register the BA publisher job in the enterprise scheduler service. Okay, so I have a few more things to cover. A few more things, since I want to cover the request set basically. So the creation of request set and how to execute that. So probably and some more little more concepts about ESS, request set transition. So probably I will begin with the creating request set tomorrow, and then see one or two examples, and then we'll go to the next topic. Okay, so if you have any questions, ask me, else we can meet tomorrow.
Lakshmi, when we are attaching the parameters to the job, will it follow the sequence with the program unit, or will it be mapped to the parameter of your program unit?
Should map to the parameter name, what we have defined. Okay. Order doesn't matter. It all depends upon the parameter name.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it will be applicable to all the job types?
It will be applicable to all the job types. That's true. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And one more question. The we have the feasibility like based on the parameter. Can we hide other parameters?
Uh, okay, so you're talking about context sensitive parameters.
Yeah.
Something like
So
that.
yeah. So assume that okay, we have three parameters.
Okay.
So based on the first parameter value, I need to be hide the second parameter or third parameter.
You want to do that in the ESS job?
Yeah, in the ES system.
No, you cannot do that. Yes, you can do that at the page level. I mean, for that, from this user interface we cannot do. You cannot do it from this standard user interface. But if you create your own custom page through which you want to submit the jobs, that case you can do. But from the standard user interface, you don't have that level of flexibility to play around the different fields. You cannot do that.
Okay. Okay. So even we can't disable the field also like.
I mean, don't want to show the field in the screen.
Yeah, in the screen in the sense ESS screen.
Yes, we can do that. So while creating the parameter in that in the job definition, there actually we have checkbox as do not show on the screen. So if you check that, then that field won't show up on the screen. But whatever para value we defined at the job definition field, that will take as a parameter behind the scenes.
Okay, so in this case, conditionally we can't disable the fields.
No, cannot. If you have a custom screen, because we have that flexibility in this Fusion actually, we can create a custom screen through which you can submit the jobs. If you create a custom screen, then you can have your own.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. If you don't have any questions, you can drop off. If you have any questions, I will be staying for some more time. You can ask me.
Lakshmi, thank you, Lakshmi. Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Lakshmi.